if an INFJ finds themselves being the only INFJ in the family, or the only introvert, or the only intuitive in the family, or even the only feeler in the family, those sorts of things can just be natural challenges for people. Doesn't necessarily need to lead to significant challenges, but just adjusting to that can be challenging, both for other family members and the INFJ. But it really does come down to the health, if you like, of a family system. If it's a rigid family system that only sees one style of communicating or processing information, if it only sees that in one way, and it just happens that the INFJ is outside what the other family members considers normal, then that can be very challenging for an INFJ. In fact, I mean, it's challenging for anybody in that situation. And what that can do is, it's a form, if you like, it's a form of rejection. But because it happens in childhood, the child doesn't know. It just seems normal for the child. So the child just naturally learns to shut down parts of themselves, or sort of try and be like the others in the family to feel accepted and to fit in. So I think what can happen for an INFJ is that deeper part of self doesn't get any light on it, in a sense that a good way of describing that is when a child, before the age of 7, and let's say someone steals their pencil and they feel angry or sad about it, a healthy parent's going to get down really close with that child and help them to identify what they're feeling, and give a name to what is happening for the child, whether it's anger or sadness or fear. And then the child gets to understand this emotion and have that name for it. And in that sense, they get to understand more their emotions and the internal world. So for the INFJ, who basically lives in their internal world, if no one's helping them to recognize what's in there and what it is and affirm it and accept it, then an INFJ can sort of, it's not that they lose their introverted intuition, but it's like it operates it's difficult to describe because NI is often unconscious, but let's say it's like more unconscious, like there's very little sort of conscious awareness of it. So it's almost like, and I've seen this in people, that there can be INFJs that have this deep inner world, but they've never shared it with anybody. No one's ever been in there with them, and so they're in it, but they don't know that they're in it. And the picture is kind of like it's black, but not like a bad black. It's just there's not a lot of light in there. I don't think I'm explaining it particularly well. I'm going to give it another go. A bit like the emotion. Now the child feels. Now, let's say they didn't have a parent that acknowledged those emotions and gave them names, fear, anger, sadness, things like that. Then the child's going to grow up and they're going to still have those emotions, but they're going to be more in them and not really noticing them, if you like. So they're going to have times where they're angry and sad, but they're not going to have much awareness around what it is or how to deal with it, because they just haven't had other people around them to sort of affirm and help them understand and process that emotion. So for the INFJ, it can be similar in that they can have all of these things going on the inside, But if there's no one there to kind of help them bounce that around or name it or describe it or affirm it, then they're in it, but they don't know that they're in it, or that they don't have names to describe what's going on the inside. I hope that makes sense. And so for some INFJs, they can grow up in a sense of, there's a stuckness in that you can ask them lots and lots of questions, or just ask them questions, and they don't have answers because they're not used to having people trying to draw things out of them or find out about them. They've learned to shut that down and be misunderstood, and so there can be like a blockedness or a stuckness in their NI. And what it requires for the INFJ, what can be helpful is when somebody else helps them to identify that deeper place, acknowledge it, speak into it. And it's kind of like it helps to sort of shine lights on the inside of the INFJ so that they can recognize this place that they've always been in, but it just they haven't had the kind of conscious awareness of that deeper place. So having other people around to speak into that can be very empowering and enlightening for the INFJ. So it's like it switches the NI on to their own conscious awareness. This is what it is.